All right, this is like number 7 of the trailer. The title is Ordeal Call: The Last Battle Moratorium Period. The interviewer asked specifically says the Ordeal Call, specifically 4 parts of them. I feel like compared to season 2, it's a little bit out of directional of storytelling, in my honest opinion. Can you tell exactly what it was the entire goal of Ordeal Call in general? It's Nasu answers. It says, in my thought process, in order to get to the final battle, I wanted the user to create their own grand servants, the legendary 7s. And that was my thought process. But right after beating Ordeal LB7, and all of a sudden, now you got to make your grand servants, it was a little too shocking of a factor and a little too abrupt, in my honest opinion. And when I read through the research data, it seems that there's only maybe half, around 50% of the user base was only had 50% of the user base may had enough materials and equipments to grant a servant, maybe. And so I thought to myself, we should have an intermission. After all, LB7 was large, maybe another 1.5. And in order to get our grand servants ready, we create a quote unquote the road to find resources is the initial thought process. Why did you use Ordeal Call to try to face or understand extra classes? What was the reason of the theme of sort? Since we did have an intermission provided to us, I really wanted to have a meaning to it. I really wanted to explain the extra classes that slided into this season, not just those 7 usual classes that we know and love. And I never really touched the reasons of their existence truly. And so I wanted to utilize this intermission to explain that sort of thing and give you what does it mean to utilize this strength, and what does it mean to touch to this power and answer some of the questions that were not being answered. And so I told the writers that in charge, it says, besides this story, the main story narrative that I'll tell you, I won't touch anything you all want to provide. Please show your personality and your quirk and create a fiction of art that you can remember, that you can represent personally and write to your heart's content. That was my criteria to them. So Takeuchi says, as Nasu stated, as Nasu has stated before, Ordeal Call concept at first was a last dungeon sort of ordeal in order to get to the final chapters of sort. It was trying to capability as a last farming section or like a challenge quest. It says, while we are awaiting to fight the quote-unquote last boss, it's understandable to go to the final front line, but sometimes there's option for you to take some detours in order to obtain powerful weapons and equipments or level up in general, right? When it comes to these type of games. These type of moratorium period always happens around the end side of the RPG games. And because of that, we wanted the user base of the FGO to kind of have a similar circumstances as that, right? Able to clear a couple of missions in order to obtain more loot and some materials and fighting strong enemies to feel how's your account doing and etc. And that's why we prepared a world map for Ordeal Call and Bleachification Earth Quest and whatnot. And Nasu answers. Nasu specifically answers, remember in the Final Fantasy series, at least in the earlier on, right when you obtained a hovercraft or aircraft in general, you could always go towards the last boss dungeon if you wanted to, or go around the world and collect equipments and summoning beasts and try to prepare yourself for the final battle. I wanted to try that technically in FGO as well. And so that's why I wanted, the quote-unquote Bleachification, the Earth map. I wanted to, like, you know, equip some, like, finding certain things or putting materials and doing missions to clear Grand Servants and whatnot. And that's what we had in mind. Little by little, the internal affairs changed a bit. And we created things now that's, free quest material grinding, powerful enemy as a quest, or challenge quest that can be utilized to challenge the Grand Servant battle shenanigans and prepare ourselves from that grand title of sort. And it kind of changed into that sort of feel. I says, can you give us each theme of Ordeal Call 1 through 4 and the direction of reason why you went that way? Ordeal Call 1. I asked the writer in charge what they wanted to do. And they definitely felt the pressure of being the top batter, very beginning of the story. But I specifically told him, don't worry about the part of Ordeal Call. Do and write what you want to write. And when I heard what he wanted to write, he said, I wanted to do a Holy Grail. And that's what the word came back to me. So my answer was simple. Let's do your Holy Grail War and do it to your heart's content. And that's how Ordeal Call 1 became the way it is. The interviewer asked, Ordeal Call 2 represents modern Japan, a very similar world stage, and like comparing to the world traveling that we did of FGO all the way to this part, it kind of had some irregular feeling of parts. And then Nasu goes, yes, when it comes to Ordeal Call 2, the battle and the theme that was in Justified was battling the heart of revenge, right? Of Kushushin to Tatakao. The feeling of taking avenge, to become the Avenger, the urge to fight, to not fight back and lose to yourself to revenge. After all, when it comes to Avengers, compared to the other class, it's definitely a unneeded class of them all, of all of them. つながりの自体が正さなければならない. In actuality, the connection had to be cut. The connection had to be cut just because it is one of the unneeded class whatsoever. Because it's not, in storytelling wise, it's also not good for a normal human. And then on top of that, I asked the writer in charge what they wanted to do. They straight up said they wanted to do a school parody. When that words came out, I was just like, oh, school parody. Sounds like a good idea. Is what I thought at the time. Then I come to the conclusion that if that is the case, we needed to create new servants and new servants design. And on top of new servants design, every single character and every single servant that comes into this form needed to wear a uniform on top of a normal clothing. And the standing pictures increased amount continue to grow and grow by the second. At first, it was really fun and exciting idea, but I was hesitant a little bit due to the fact that it might cost too much time and effort, and we might not make it to the deadline if we did so. with that thought in mind, I asked Takeuchi about it, and then surprisingly, he gave it an okay. To be honest, I was quite baffled by it, and I was like, "Oh, damn, you're okay with it, huh?" It was my honest reaction. Takeuchi answered. It says, "I can't say no to that idea. After all, the idea of a school parody, I got curious, and I've got it's gotten my attention. And in order to create a funny and interesting story, if necessary, ビジュアルを行うとしては手を尽くさなければなりませんが、it says, yeah, in order to make it funny and interesting, and if necessary, visual key points needed to be locked down. And it was going to be a very hard time. However, luckily, with the help of other artists and other people at hand, we were able to create a first FGO school parody broadcast and showcase." So, what about Ordeal Call 3? The summer event, BB presents a celebrity summer experience of the Revenge on Dubai. It says, yeah, in actuality, this has been split into a beginning arc and an after beginning arc and the end arc. Was this what you were aiming for from the very beginning? 実というと夏イベントとは分けて単体でやりたかったんですよ。ただ夏イベントと開始時期が近かったので。新作でたくさん作れないという制作の情報がありました。そのため夏イベントの要素材を使いつつ物語を工作するため夏イベントを合わせて前半と後半を仕上げていたんです。The Ordeal Call 3 was mine to be in charge. To be perfectly honest, at the very first, I wanted to separate my Ordeal Call from the summer event and have a summer event and a different story altogether. However, the activation time and the summer event was so close. I was told by the creation staff that I was not able to utilize a lot of new backgrounds or new characters or new supplies in general. And so with that being said, I utilized all the summer event materials and I utilized all the summer event materials in order to create a story and simultaneously created a convenience summer event to create a before and after arc. So essentially the summer event was created by a quote unquote writer. Ordeal Call 3 was created by Nasu, utilizing the asset of a summer event. An Ordeal Call 3. We're supposed to find the next spiritual elder, right? The next leader after humanity. Next leader of new humanity. And it was a story about an AI written and draw wonderfully. It says, when it comes to AI in its entirety, Mr. Nasu, what kind of feelings did you had creating this story in general? It says Ordeal Call 3 was about moon cancer and how you use them or how they are interacted. 奇弁に取り掛かる2022年の段階では現在ほど AI が自由縮されてはいませんでした。でもそこからたった1年で AI の性能がとびっきり活発に進化し、 日常の生活での扱われるや価値、それに、it says, yeah, around 2022, around this time, until 2022, pen and pencils and paper form was still norm. And slowly but surely, we used AI, no problem. However, with an official AI slowly crept in, AI wasn't as super known as much. However, right after the introduction, about a year, if not less later, the exponential growth and the evolution of the AIs grew to the point that it is now officially a daily part of life to some people, and its values and its treatment continuously grow on the spot each minute. And the thought process and how you interact with it and how people think about them can drastically change from back then. そんな状態下でただの AI 判定をテーマにしてしまったらあまりにも無念。FGO のシナリオを象徴するならその先を書かなければいけない。ならない。それで、総称さんは人類の次の霊長となった AI もやがては次に来るものにおいていかれるということをテーマにしたんです。古いものは常に新しいものに断絶されていくけど、それを断うことはない。人間もテクノロジーもこれまでそうやって進化してきたんだから。プロット段階ではちょっと説教臭くてネガティブな内容でしたが AI の時々の成長に触れたのが影響して今のような形の方向心が少し変わったのです。So yeah, essentially saying that AI like exploded around 1 year after 2022's official arrival, and then everybody and their mom started treating it, different values, treating it more, daily lives, etc. within a year instantaneously. Simultaneously, if I were to write a scenario of just exponential AI growth and judge AI as a theme, it would have been very cynical and it would have been very plain, and it would have not been as exciting as it before. If I wanted to create this topic as a FGO scenario, I needed to come to a conclusion that I needed to write something beyond that. And that's why in Ordeal Call 3, even the AI that became the next Elder Spirit of humanity, in the end, even they have to, even they will be left behind by something new entirely as a theme that I wanted to create. After all, everything old will always be rendered asunder, overridden, stomped on by something new entirely all the time. But it's not something to cry about, or it's not something to be angered about. Whether you're a human or technology, that's how we and everything has been evolving and changing throughout the time. In the plot writing segment area, it did sound like a lecture type, and definitely the topic was quite negative. But the sheer fact that I was able to talk about the AI's exponential growth and how it's both good and bad things and how it can affect things in modern, present, and future, and the sheer fact that because of this exponential growth that I've witnessed it during so closely, I was able to go on this direction of a story approach, in my honest opinion. And it changed quite a lot. And I believe that is... Oh, yeah, this is entirely chapter Ordeal Call 4. Ordeal call for Mash and Grand. What's the timer here? It's about 20 minutes. I think we'll be good on that. Alrighty, so this is all the way up to ordeal call 1 through 3. I don't want to go over 20 minutes as much as I can, so I'm gonna end it here. There's gonna be another segment, so make sure you guys go check out on it. And as always, make sure you don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment down below. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, etc., etc. Tolovetrouble, and I stream every day at 11 a.m. CST. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.